Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of How Did We Get Here? I'm your host, Jay Carter. Got my man that's always heard and never ever seen, Skeens.
What up? Oh, my new nickname, Wizard.
Oh, the Wizard of Oz. But thank you guys for tuning in. Again, man, we just dropped our last episode yesterday, and we've had some great engagement and things of that nature. So we really appreciate you guys. But again, this channel is going to grow. This How Did We Get Here is going to grow through you guys and through your subscriptions, through your liking, through your comments. And again, me and Skeens are messed up if you disagree. We just want to have the dialogue and have the conversation. So we solicit all of that. Good, bad, or indifferent. Engage with us. Help us get our YouTube algorithms up. Get us up in the mentions and help us, make some noise in this podcast content game. But again, better than your average is the channel and the movement. How Did We Get Here is the show. We got two cousins like brothers that are discussing any and everything and the process. How did we get here? But you may have heard a little light laughter in the background. It's because we have a special guest and co-host, we're going to call her for the evening. Miss Angelica prior used to be Espaillat. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But
you did. Wow, you got it.
Currently, Mrs. Angelica Hargrove. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, guys.
So, really appreciate. This is one of my another one of my little sisters, and I always tell you guys that I have all of these dope, amazing people that I know, and again, a lot of times we get caught up in celebrity stardom and things of that nature. But think about how many people you know in your everyday life that are dope and amazing people. And she's one of those people. She's beautiful. She's talented. She's educated. She's a wife. She's a sister and much, much more. So I thought she had a really, really amazing story to share with us. And one thing I'll share about you, Angelica, and I never have told you this before. We all used to work in the same place, and I was very, very close and still am with her sister, Issa. We were trainers together at a little call center called Convergence, and Angelica came as a young lady. And, we were all running around.
A short stunt.
Yeah, about 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know what it was, but anyway. So I can remember that even though Angelica was a little bit younger than us, I remember we were at a get-together at a friend's house. And, everybody, was drinking and doing their whole thing and, whatever else everybody was getting into that, we don't get into that. But, and we were sitting there, and I never forgot this, Angelica. Me and you got into a conversation with me about my relationship with my now wife, but at the time, my girlfriend, Liz. And in the midst of the drinking and the this and this going on, this young lady was like encouraging me about being a quote unquote good guy. And you've been with your girl this amount of time. And I was like, yeah, I sure have. She was like, wow. It encouraged me because a lot of times, believe it or not, one of the struggles as a young man and finding my way is sometimes you have a thing where you want to be disassociated from being the good guy because you're set apart so far. And, sometimes it's cool, but sometimes you're like, man, I want to,
As well as you get a lot of outside encouragement to do so.
Right. You get a lot of outside encouragement to do things that are wild. So you never knew it. But in that moment, that was something where I was like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. So, again, we like to give people their flowers. Awesome. So I always remember that. But tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into probing into your life.
Well, before that, I wanted to say that there is no surprise that you have this dope podcast because you just have some great convos with everyone. You could get anything out of anyone. You were always that one that people would go to talk to, ask for advice, encouragement, whatever it was. So This is so fitting. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
But yeah, I never heard that story. I don't even remember that far back because that was a dark time in my life.
Right. We're going to get into that. Don't give it to him yet.
That I could do that.
So let's do this. Go ahead. Tell the people a little something about you.
So, as most people in Killeen, was raised Army brat. I was born in Fort Riley, Kansas, on a cold winter day. No, I'm just kidding. But left there when I was about, a couple months old. We spent almost 5 years in Hawaii, then another 5 years in Maryland, and then came to Killeen, where I spent 5th grade to graduating high school.
Okay.
There, and was just so ready to get out of Killeen. So I said, I am going to a big city that is far enough to miss my family, but not too far to where I can't drive to get to them. So
Gotcha.
Houston was the perfect option.
Okay.
And I loved U of H, University of Houston. I wanted to go there because of its diversity. Just like how I was raised, in the Army town, you're so used to being around diversity and different cultures and backgrounds. So it was just a perfect transition for me. So been in Houston almost since. I left 2004. Did not do good my first year in college. Was partying and doing the bad stuff. So went back to Killeen for almost 2 years and been back here ever since. Okay,
cool. So let's start there. So you said that you grew up and you can identify with me, in growing up in the military background, it does give you a diverse purview of the world. So how do you think that growing up in that military background has been a benefit for you and how you move around today?
Oh, it has been a huge benefit, not only in just being exposed to different backgrounds and cultures, but I think the biggest benefit for me is being adaptable to change.
Yes. Exactly.
Just having to, just get up. Hey, we're moving in a couple months and moving to a whole new state, and just having to be used to, your dad getting deployed or whatever it is. I think that has really benefited me the most.
Okay. Now, your mom and dad have been together, I think, close, probably longer than my parents, but are they like in that around that about that 40-year time frame as well? They've been married, something like that?
Yeah.
So
yep. And,
I think my parents, and I was thinking about this, Skeens, we didn't shout them out on the last episode, but September 10th, my parents celebrated 41 years of marriage. So I got to give them a salute. Now you guys are Dominican. So you got a Dominican mother and father.
Yes.
How many siblings was it in the household?
So 3 of us girls. So my poor dad.
Yeah. And you are Angelica, guys, is the baby.
I'm the baby. Yes.
She's the baby girl. So what was the you got Dominican parents, your dad is in the military. Give us some insight into what it was like growing up as the baby of 3 girls.
Well, the good thing is I got to see all their mess ups and not have to go through as much. I learned a lot from them, and just seeing what stuff they did, and like, I want to do that, or I want to get into that. But I guess growing up, you're the baby. You're kind of like the little sister that nobody wants to. Your sister don't want you to be around, but your mom would be like, you have to take her with you if you want to go somewhere. So I was always a tag along. That was unwillingly, my sister, of course, didn't want me there. So me and Issa were closer because she's 3.5 years older than me.
Okay.
And she always had to take me everywhere. While the oldest one, we have an 8-year difference.
Okay.
So me and her naturally were closer, but we all still had a good tight bond of sisters. Being Dominican, family is like number one, like in a Hispanic culture. So, we were brought, family's everything. We're all we got. You do everything for your family. My mom was big on that. She was that wife that cooked dinner every day, made sure she put her kids first before her. She started nursing school. When we got married, she was going to go start college, ended up getting pregnant, and didn't go back to school until I was a little bit old enough to, sustain myself, get myself dressed and eat or whatever.
Right.
And then she went and got her education and started her career. So that just tells you what kind of woman she was.
I want to ask you about kind of what example you saw from your dad, but quick story, y'all, is Issa was always trying to hook us up with free condoms because her mom in the nursing field had access to them joints. So Issa was the condom connect.
Oh, that's funny. Yes. Yes. That's hilarious. And my mom is still doing that now with my nephews. Bags of condoms. Here.
So weighing them on a scale?
Yes. So Mrs. Espaillat was definitely on top of her, making sure that Cass was, being safe out there. Because I'm like, Issa, where are you getting all these condoms from? And she's like, my mom. I'm like, your mom like that? And she's like, well, she's a nurse and this and I'm like, oh, okay. But
she was like the Frank Lucas of the condom.
Yeah,
yes, absolutely.
That's hilarious.
So, what kind of relationship did you have with your dad?
Well, Daddy was always, working. I was a daddy's girl. But then, you start to rebel and, Daddy didn't want us doing anything. Of course, he's protective over his girls. And,
right.
I still think we're all close, as a unit, all of us.
Did you feel like you were,
but those,
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say the most memorable experience of my dad growing up was he's in the Army as a career, but one year for Christmas, he took an extra job as a mechanic just in order to provide us with a nice Christmas.
Wow.
And I didn't understand then, why is my dad working on the weekends as a mechanic when he has a whole full-time career? But that's something that is just near and dear to my heart. And he probably thinks we don't even remember, but I definitely do. So that's the kind of man that my father is.
Yeah, I remember when we were stationed in Germany, and one of the little licks over there at the movie theater was the guys would work in between showings and they would clean the movie theater. So my dad, that was one of his little side hustles at that time. And in my room, during the age, Angelica, I don't know, everybody's put posters on their wall and stuff. Oh yeah. So my dad would get the posters of the marquee, those big old posters. He would get those, and I had just movie marquee posters. Everybody like, how did you get that? I'm like, man, I got to connect like that, But
that's so cool.
So same kind of thing, and just seeing that example of what he would do to provide for his family was key. Now, so where you said at one point that you started to rebel, where do you think, where was that process that you think that you was like, I'm kind of going to start doing my own thing? Was it middle school, high school?
High school, for sure.
So I think something that's key. So as we talk about many things, of course, especially as teenagers, is about decisions. Because in many ways, Angelica, you had the ideal setup. Because again, I salute, my parents, your parents, and the ones that stayed together, because I think one of the most key things that we can do in building families is the mother and the father being married together, raising the family. I think that's what's going to set you up the best, in life. And still in that, we can make choices and decisions sometimes that are counter to that, and we come back, it's full circle. So do you remember anything in particular where you like, or what was kind of the first thing that you did that maybe was a little bit to the left?
I think I was just always like bored with the small town life. Right. Like, I don't know why. I don't know. I was just my personality. Okay. I'm very adventurous. I like to do things and try new things and explore. I'm very spontaneous. So I was just really bored. Right. That's why I said as soon as I could, I was going to the city. And you just get exposed to a lot more things in high school. You get exposed to a lot of different people, and just trying to fulfill that boredom and get into little things, and you just start trying new things, and even if it's not the right thing to do, I didn't care. I just wanted to have fun. That was my attitude at the time.
Well, another funny story is, again, I think that the Espaillat sisters were known for being attractive, from Daneska to Issa. Daneska, if you watch this, everybody used to refer to Daneska's hips all the time. But and Lord. There was a time when the Espaillat, not so much Angelica, but I think Issa and they was known when you was out and about, hanging out in the clubs and stuff, if something was going down, that Issa, and then when afraid to put some hands and feet on you. You know what I'm saying? So,
oh Lord.
So at one point there was a joke, and one of my friends, we still do it because he remembers me. I had a song that I did for your sisters, and it was they called them, they set it off, mamicitas, bossing heads to the white meat.
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
So I would go around the office at Convergence going, they called them, they set it off, mamicitas. Anyway.
Where did that come from?
Well,
that whole
there was somebody, I can't remember who it was, but some young lady.
Like Ricky Ricardo.
Somebody had got hands and feet put on them. And if I remember the story correct, they were like trying to apologize to them or get back on their good. I can't remember. It was something like that. But I was like, man, y'all girls is about it, man. So that's
the first time that Issa got into a fight was because of me fighting. Wow. I'm the one who got her fighting for the first time.
Do tell us this tale. Right? Tell us this tale, please.
It was somebody at school, and I don't even know why she had beef with me, but I was just like, whatever, we can fight. I'm not going to talk back and forth with you. So yeah, it just happened. And it's funny how being the youngest, I got them to do stuff for the first time a lot of the time. So yeah.
As your choices, maybe went a little bit off track. Was there any relationships or dudes that were attached with some of these, we'll call negative behaviors or choices, selections?
Yeah, in high school, the bad boys are cool. They're the cool ones, and they have the money from whatever means, or they have a car, or you always a lot of girls are just attracted to that for some stupid reason. Because those guys are the ones that end up losers and bums and broke when you're older. But at that age, it's cool, and that's who I was attracted to at the time. My sisters may have influence in that too. I mean, I'm looking up to them on who they're kind of guys they're dating, and kind of following their footsteps. And yeah, I got exposed to different things due to who I was dating at the time. So yeah, and because I was curious, a curious kid, just wanting to try new things or whatever the case may be.
So what do you think? I think one of the in a lot of the young ladies that I talk to, especially, sometimes I think, Angelica, let me know what you think, is that for some reason there is a romanticism with the street life and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And me and Skeens always talk about, because where we are from, we're from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. It's a small town, but it's always one of those ones that's in the highest per capita murder and, crime and stuff like that. And
I know about the bluff.
So exactly, the bluff, exactly. That's what we refer to it as. So there was a place where sometimes people were doing things. Still, there's decisions that you have to make, but it's more out of a necessity of real life that's going on. Sometimes in the military community, for some reason, we interject ourselves into these things when we don't have to at all.
Right.
Why do you think that is?
So crazy. Seeing what the music videos, trying to be down and be gangsters and thugs, and it's like, I didn't even know, like, Khalid has, like, they call the West Side. I'm like, where's the North and where's the South? Like, it's too small for that.
Right.
Like, yep. And it's just trying to be that cool guy, and it's just so true. It's stupid. Like, how do we even have real gang members in Killeen? Like, stop it.
Right. Right.
Y'all, it's not. I mean, that was the coolness for them, trying to be little thugs, and didn't even have to be. Like, it's really people really struggling and really have to be about that life by no option, and we're over here thinking it's cool or whatever.
Yeah,
but why do y'all think it's romanticized and all that?
Well, you hit a key point, and not to negate that there are parts of Killeen where real life like that is going on. You know what I mean? But a lot of us and a lot of people that I knew were, again, mom and dad in the house. Dad is in the military and, different things. Mom is working. So, it wasn't that we were in a poverty stricken environment or anything like that. But as far as the romanticism,
validation
with the street, again, Skeens just said validation. We want to be validated by our peers. Number two, a big part of it, and me and Skeens being extreme hip hop heads, we've come to a place of where hip hop does have to reconcile some of this energy and stuff that was put in the music, because it wasn't advantageous. Now, again, Angelica, because of my dad and my mom, I never had that thing where I was looking to the music to emulate it. I had a tight grasp that it was entertainment a long time ago. And my dad was such an investigator, Angelica. I wasn't trying to deal with that dude coming and being in my business. He was too much in my mix for me to try to do anything. It was to the point where I was afraid to even have certain music, because that dude would come check my, once he got to a point of his walk with the Lord and stuff, don't have that music in here, don't be listening to that. He was checking the CDs and the tapes, and I'm like, God, dog, man, this is too much pressure on a brother. It's not even worth it. It's not even worth it.
It's true though.
So
real.
I think what we try to do on this platform is make the Mr. Espaillots and my dad, the Mr. Carters, and those guys that you knew in the world, to make that actually cool. Dudes that's about their family, that's about their children. That's cool. Now, being in the street, being a detriment to our community, in some places, killing each other, that's not cool. We not on that. We on this new move right here about building legacy and building families and building relationships. So that's where we are with it. So,
love it.
When do you think that, what would you say was probably one of the, before you, because you've obviously made a transition and I want to get into that, but I know that there's a lot of women that kind of find themselves where they can't make that transition and they're stuck in that place. What would you say during your time was like your low point, and then how did you come out of that?
For me, it took a traumatic experience. I was hard-headed. I was just out there wilding, having fun, and ended up messing with a drug dealer. And I happened to be just I met him through my best friend at the time.
Okay.
Who's no longer associated. I'm no longer associated with her.
Understood.
But it was her boyfriend's like best friend, and we were hanging out for maybe like a month. And one night, I'm staying the night over there, and the freaking SWAT team comes in, kicks the door down, smoke bomb, like it was crazy. And we're sitting on the couch, arrested, our hands behind our back. And this fool was like, "Oh, can I get one last kiss?" And I just looked at him with the meanest look, like, "Are you kidding me right now? Like,
right.
Why are you not telling them I have nothing to do with this? Get me out of these handcuffs. Why am I didn't even think I was going to jail because I'm like, I'm just here, wrong place, wrong time type of thing. Like, I'm good. Like, no. They charged me with everything in that place, just like him. Like, my bond was $180,000.
Woo!
Somebody who attempted murder bond was less than that. It was only $100,000. I'll never forget that.
Right.
And that was a big wake-up call, as you can imagine.
That's crazy.
I mean, I really thought I was going to be in there for a long time.
Wow.
But I have, a mom who will fight hard and ride or die for her kids, and was able to get the bail cut in half, and still a lot of money, but was able to get me out. It's so funny. At the time, I was friends with another drug dealer who I called for help, like, "Hello, I'm in jail, help." And he got me a lawyer to start with. Right. But then I found out how I was trying to handle it on my own without having to get my parents involved and not give them a heart attack.
Yeah.
But when I found out how much that bond was, I was just like, I need help. Like, there's no way we can do this on our own. And, pretty much gave my mom a heart attack after that. Right. And I just was very remorseful. I mean, that right there was just like, okay, girl, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing with your life? Like, now you're going to have a felony on your record. You could never get a job. Like, what are you doing? And it just really had to be something traumatic, I guess, for me to like, really like, okay, this is not the way I want to live. I never want to go to jail again. That was like my third time in jail. But for something serious this time, it was like, okay, I gotta change how I'm living. And yeah, that was the big wake up call.
Yeah, and I can remember when that happened, and hearing some of the story, secondhand and things of that nature, and talking with Issa. And Issa approached me at work one day. It was like, "Jay, I need to talk to you." And I'm like, "Okay, what's up?" And she's like, this Angelica is going through this and that, and would you basically write something to speak to her character, who she really is. And I had known you just for a short amount of time, but what I saw in you as a young woman wasn't that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Angelica,
look at Issa coming through for the sister.
I don't remember what I wrote, but I remember,
I appreciate it.
Your word had got back to your mom, and your mom thanked me and stuff like that. But again, I say all that to say is just, again, when we are building this community and building these type of relationships, this is what we do for one another when we cover each other. Things are going to happen. You know what I mean? Things like that will happen. Yeah. But again, making this style of life cool is what we want to do, is where we holding down our people and building our people up. Exactly. So I've always been super duper proud of you for making that transition, because, and one thing, guys, but you got to catch in what Angelica said, as me and Skeens always talk about being intentional. No shade and not a knock to the other young lady, but one key thing that she said is, I don't associate with that young lady anymore, right? Yeah. And one thing that we have to do, if we're trying to make these changes, our associations have to change as well.
And that was a question I had with that. As you said, you have that internal conversation about that whole maturation process of the new person that you was manifesting to be, what was your method of keeping yourself accountable?
Keeping myself accountable?
Yeah, what was your method of keeping yourself accountable as you were making your change?
Just going back to my foundation of I did have that foundation of growing up in the church. So I did have those seeds planted. So I did have, God on my mind, and that kind of came back to me. I went on right after that. I ended up choosing to go to this spiritual retreat. I was raised Catholic, so at the time I was Catholic. It's called a Concilio. And it's just a weekend with women where you can just let everything go, and just put it all out there. Ask God for forgiveness, and just like move forward in a whole new space. Like you just leave feeling like a whole different person. So God was my accountability partner at the time. And just my mom, after all that she went through for me, like I didn't want to let her down again after all of that I put her through. Like that hurt me, putting her through that. But I can't really say like I had like an actual like accountability partner or friend that I had at that time, because we were still young and still not being perfect, not making the best decisions.
Right.
But it was always God and my mom was in the back of my mind.
Well, that's it. God and your mom. Yeah. I mean, because basically what you're talking about is you rededication is what you did. You rededicated your life and return. Oftentimes, again, in life, we'll see that we kind of return to the source or the essence of where we started. Yep. That's the best place is to return. There was a song by Kirk Franklin where it's called Turn Back to Your First Love. And that's what you did. God is the first one that loved us. And he's the one that sustains us through things like that. So it's just returning back to him is what you did. And again, your mom holding you down, that was your accountability, because oftentimes what does help us on that rocky road, because again, none of us have a perfect trek or travel through this road. It's bumpy, it's rocky. That's life. Right. That's life. But we do have to have those people that we can count on when they see us struggling, or when I'm going through something, somebody that I can go to. And again, that's just a salute to your mom. She's just a dope lady, you know what I'm saying? And not giving up on you, sticking and staying with you.
Not giving up.
Yeah,
Yes.
So
we need that.
Absolutely. Now I think one other thing. So once that happened, you rededicated your life, and you decided to go to school in Houston there soon after.
Yep, went back.
Went back.
So that was after my freshman year of college, when I said I was,
Oh, you know what? So when you were back here, you had come back from school.
Yes.
I see at that time, because I know this is Issa and Daneska's little sister. I really didn't have a concept of how old you were at that time, but yeah.
Yep. So my first year going to Houston was just too busy partying, smoking weed, popping handlebars. That's like the thing in Houston at the time, and just going hard, and ended up like my GPA was a 1.0.
Wow.
A 1.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So my mom was like, I'm not paying for you to be out there failing. Like, you got to come back home and reevaluate and reassess, take these CTC credits. And then that happened, and she was like, okay, you need to go back.
Okay.
You need to get out of here, go back to Houston. Once I, made that change, and she was like, yeah, you can't stay here.
Okay.
There's nothing good there for you. And I was ready. And when I went back, it was completely different. the people who I was hanging with and surrounding myself with was, totally different crowd than before. So it's hard to get your GPA up. It's real easy to get it down, but it's real hard to get it back up. But still ended up graduating with honors after that. Took me longer than most, but that's all right. I did it.
Yep. Now, what's your degree in?
So I did my undergrad in public relations. I thought I wanted to be a publicist. But no, that wasn't for me. I ended up liking marketing more. So that's why I did my MBA in marketing. And now I do pharmaceutical sales. So funny how it all lines up.
Well, Skeens has his degree. He has some marketing under his belt as well. So that's really cool. So
the fun stuff.
Yeah.
So let's turn the page now. How did you and what is your husband's first name? I'm sorry. Forgive me, Mr. Hargrove.
Jason.
So how did you and Jason, tell us the story of you and Jason?
So Jason's from Killeen too. We actually knew of each other growing up.
Okay.
And in high school. And he actually asked me for my number back in college. We were out one time and I didn't give it to him. And later, years down the line, social media, I commented something funny post and.
Well, yeah, because did he do stand up comedy or something? Am I making that up?
More like social media comedy.
Okay, my bad. Yep.
Yeah, and he was working overseas at the time. And we just started talking, like regular, people talking. And
wait, so did you essentially slide in the DM?
They didn't have DM then.
I mean, that's why I said essentially.
Oh yeah. In the comments section.
You slid in the comments, yeah.
They have DMs then.
Right. There was no DMs then. Nope.
And you know what? He just put his number out there, and I had just stopped talking to this guy that I was dating, casually, and I was like, you know what? I'd never be the first one to reach out to a guy or whatever, but it was no DM, so he put his number out there, so I don't have to put mine, and I ended up hitting him up one night, and and you know what? We were able to really just get to know each other since he was working overseas. We just had how many more months? September, October, November. So 6 months of just getting to know each other through FaceTime and text. So no dating, no sex, nothing. And he didn't even try to holler at me at first. It was just me and him just talking, getting to know each other. There was no intentions out there, no pressure. But then of course, we started we have really good chemistry. I let him know. I was like, well, you're not here. So I'm going to continue to date, or, if I want to date or if I want to go out on a date or talk to somebody, I was casually, just dating a guy, getting to know, and, I just told him, that's what it's going to be like until you get here, because it could be a completely, totally different experience in person, right?
Right, indeed.
So that's kind of how it went down. And then, the first weekend, 6 months later, we're finally seeing each other. It was yeah, you're my boyfriend, I'm your girlfriend. It's official, and the rest is history.
So, two things that you just said. Number one, another one of me and Skeens' tenets of dating is take your time. Because so often we don't take our time. And when
right,
when we rush the situation, man, again, I'm always saying the same thing, but when you don't take your time, okay, like you said, we're moving quickly. We're this physicality thing is here. We're having sex. We're moving in together. We have a kid. And what happens, the unfortunate part of relationships is once we come out of the euphoria and high of lust and all of that stuff, there's real work to be done. And there's two people that are there that really don't know each other yet.
Yep. And in a lot of cases, people get stuck in a lifetime sentence with a person that you actually hate because you have kids now.
Right.
So you join it at the hip the rest of your life. Right. And you have all this conflict that you're dealing with really because you should have really engaged or gave yourself fully to a person.
Exactly. So once you get into that place where once the smoke clears, it's like, dang, hold on. We really aren't even supposed to be together. And what you and Jason did, because of the distance, you guys had to build that foundation of communication. That's the beautiful part of it.
Yes.
Y'all did that groundwork of communication early on to where you still have challenges, but it makes the rest of the relationship easier because that foundation is so solid. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I appreciate. Now, I'm just curious, kind of joking now, y'all was talking over, what you say, FaceTime and stuff? Was you cute on the FaceTime and sending them pictures where you was looking cute and stuff like that? Or
you know it. You gotta be cute at least the first couple months.
And I think the other part of it that's cool is that you were honest with him about, hey, you're not here. I like, obviously we got some chemistry. I'm feeling you, but you're not here, so I'm gonna still be dating. And that's, again, honesty and setting proper expectations for where you guys were at that particular time.
Exactly.
And I think,
even though he couldn't be as honest.
Wait, I know Jason is there. He can defend himself.
he over there. He ain't right here. But
okay.
Yeah, I found out later. No, I mean, he did tell me, yes, he was talking to other women.
Okay.
But was nothing serious or whatever.
Right.
But you know how women, we're more detailed, and when we're communicating, and guys are just like, yeah, I talk, yeah, whatever, like nothing serious or anything like that. But us, we give all the details and all the insight and all that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, I'm just messing with him. We were both very honest from the jump.
Okay.
So you know what's funny, Jay? Because I was listening to your last podcast, and it's funny. I would only date dark-skinned guys.
Wow.
And that was my attraction, was to dark-skinned guys. And I always tease him, like, you were my first little light skin. You're lucky I gave you a chance. So, yes, I tell women all the time, like, do not, sell yourself short with your type. Like, don't have a type that's physical. Right. Oh, your type should all just be, characteristics and morals. And
there you go.
Yeah, I think a lot of women miss out on their blessings because of that type that they're looking for.
100. And you took the words right out of my mouth, is that, again, it's cool to have a type, right? Again, because there has to be some attraction. We're not saying that there's not going to be attraction when you first see somebody, but your attraction can't be so ironclad. For men, you're looking at, I think of one of my mentors. We were sitting down one day and he was going over, I had to hire, first time I was having to hire people at work, right? And so our HR person had given me this book called Hire Tough. And so she was like, pretty much, make sure you ask all the same questions because you can't ask different questions. Read this book. Do you have any questions? And I was like, nah. So I just kind of went off of me being a halfway decent communicator that I'll be able to talk my way through these interviews. So I do the interviews and my mentor comes and he says, what did you and the HR person talk about? And I said, well, she said, ask him the same question and read this book. He said, that's not what I told her to do. So he sat me down the following day or subsequent days later and we did like a day long class on hiring. And so he was writing things on the whiteboard, this, that and the third. And he talks about the qualities that you're looking for in a new hire. And as we drill down into what you were looking for, while experience, degrees, and things like that are good, a lot of what you're looking for is intangibles, things that you can't necessarily measure on a resume. And what we'll find in relationships is that the intangibles of a man or a woman are the things that we look for and actually are better to solidify and sustain the relationship, the tangible things that you have. Because again, physicality, looks, hair, how big your booty was, how small your waist was, how much of abs did he have, how big his chest and his arm, that stuff is going to change with life. And once all of that stuff erodes, what do you have? One of the ways that I knew that Liz and I were in a very good, and we took the long trek to marriage. We took a long route, but because Angelica, our communication, I knew our communication had to be solid before we said I do. And when I knew officially that she was really this chick I was really down with and really I was in love with her, is that and I still tell her this to this day, Angelica, she's the person that I want to do everything or nothing with. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So whether we are on trips and doing this and seeing family, I want to do that with her. Or whether we just posted up at the house streaming videos or both scrolling on our phones, I want to do that with her. You know what I mean? So
and that's what they say when they say, like, when you know, that's the stuff that when you know that part, okay, this is official. Like,
So how did y'all end up? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I think I'm going to answer what you're going to ask. I was going to say, it's crazy. Like, we didn't take long before we knew, like, we wanted to marry each other.
Right.
And I think it was because we had that 6-month foundation of like just straight getting to know each other. And we just were on the same page. Like, cause, when he came back from overseas, my mom would, people were in Killeen. So when he would come back to visit, he would just be in Killeen visiting with his parents, but I lived in Houston. So, he ended up moving in with me in Houston because I was like, we already did long distance so long. If you come back, like, you might as well just come move with me. Like, I don't want to be long distance, more than I need to be. And my mom would always be like, oh, don't think you're just gonna, what is it? Milk the cow or have your cow or whatever that saying is. Right. He would always tell him that, and I was like, and he was like, no, that's not what I want. Like, I know that. And I knew it too. Like, I already just knew, like, this is, my husband.
Right.
And, I'm telling you, when we started dating, Jay, I immediately blocked every male contact in my phone.
Wow. That's intentional.
I was like, I don't want, I was like, I don't want anybody from back in the day texting me out the blue, talking about, hey, how you been? Hey, big head, whatever the word says.
Yep.
Like, I didn't want no issues. I didn't want him to even have to be curious about anything. Like, I was like, no, blockity block. Everybody's getting blocked. I love the new block feature. So that's how I knew. I was like, okay, like, I'm good. Like, cause I haven't been the most faithful person in prior relationships. Like, we'll have a little off period and I'm already meeting somebody else. Right. So this was like my first, like, real, like, okay, like, I don't even want to look at another guy. Like, I'm good. So I knew.
So I want to talk about how you guys officially ended up getting married, but I wanted to take a quick turn. You mentioned that you weren't always the most faithful. If you want to break with somebody, then you like, hey, can you go back in your mind to why you felt like you had to fill that time with someone else, or was it just you were feeling some unfulfillment, or can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, for one thing, with my characteristics is I don't commit to one thing. Like, it's very hard for me to commit. Like, it could be something as simple as, like, a favorite drink. Like, it's so funny because Jason does the grocery shopping since I hate it.
Okay.
And he'll, like, plan ahead and buy, like, extra of what I like or whatever. And I'm like, no, babe, I'm not even on that this week anymore. I'm sorry. You don't have to buy that anymore. So I don't know. It's just the way my mind works. Like, I don't like doing the same routine. Like, I need excitement. I need change. Mm-hmm. And that, transpired into, like, my relationships as well. Like, so I wasn't...
No, I was going to ask you, how do you manage that now?
It's easy. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm fulfilled 100%. Mm-hmm. So it's just easy now, like, with this marriage, with this relationship. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't like when people say marriage is hard work. That's an unpopular opinion of mine.
I got you.
Like, you gotta... you have to work at it, but you don't have to work hard at it. It shouldn't be hard. What do you think?
Well, again, my marriage to my wife right now, it is not hard. But again, it's because we did the work early. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I would say one example that I give is people, again, you and Liz, do y'all ever argue? And I can't even picture it. And I mean, we get into a little willy-nilly stuff, but what happened, because Liz and I dated so long, the stuff that you might go through early in the marriage because you're brand new, because I met Liz when I was 20 years old and she was 18. We met at CTC. So if those two people would have got married, we would have went through a whole bunch of stuff. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So when you talk about people say the difficulties of marriage, what are the conflict resolution skills like?
Yeah, that's a good question. How do y'all resolve conflict when it arises in your marriage? How do you and Jason resolve those?
So thankfully, when we got engaged, we said, we had both strayed away from church and not going to church and not having that relationship with God. But thankfully, once we got engaged, we said, we know that if we want to have a solid foundation for our marriage, we have to get back into a church and we need to work on our relationship with God, because we knew that without God, our marriage, it just doesn't seem realistic to work without God. That's just our opinion.
Absolutely.
So we knew he had to be the center of it. And we did premarital counseling, and I had to stop drinking liquor.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So when we do have a big conflict, we go to the Bible, we pray, or we'll go to, like we have some deacons in the church that we have a life group with. But I mean, it's probably been one time since the marriage where we had something serious like that. We try to resolve it on our own and usually do.
Gotcha. How beneficial you think the marriage counseling was, and what have y'all taken away from it that you still kind of apply today?
Well, we did premarital, and I'm glad we did. I highly recommend that everyone does that before getting married, just to lay everything out there on how y'all want to do things. Do you have gender roles, or do you want kids, or how do you want to handle this life situation? So we kind of got everything out there in the beginning, and we had something to fall back on as well to say, hey, we decided we're going to do this, or, not to say you can't change your mind, but just something to look back on. But we haven't been to marriage counseling, but I think counseling is good for individuals and couples.
Yep, agree. And
whether you have an issue or not,
Agree. And girl, I'm just so proud of you and Jason, some of the stuff that I'm hearing, how y'all working things out. And I'm a proponent of going to premarital counseling as well. So I think that, in that counseling, they brought up, so much we went to a little retreat, as a matter of fact, and it was even. I tell folk, like, I said on a prior episode, but we even got down to the nitty gritty of finances and how much money we was gonna be bringing in. You got to think about your bills and all this other kind of stuff, man. So I think that's so dope. And like you said, the part of marriage being hard at this stage in the game, and I again, newsflash, not so much newsflash. I'm the talker in my relationship. My wife came from a family where they didn't talk like my family did. My dad would spank me and then a few minutes later come and explain to me why he did it. You know what I mean? On the occasion I got one. Yeah. But so Liz, early on, Angelica, she literally, when we would come after work and see each other when we were dating, and I'm like, oh, how was your day? I mean, she was really perplexed by that. Like, why are you asking me how my day was? Why are you? Oh, what'd you have for? I'm just want to know everything. What'd you have for lunch? And and still to this day, our communication is, 100,000 times better. But even now, I'm sitting there in the bed, Angelica, and she's scrolling, looking at Amazon or whatever, and HEB ordering stuff, and I'm like, tell me, how do you feel about our relationship, our future goals, your dreams, and
that's so mean.
This. And Angelica, Liz can turn over and look at me and go, I'm good. And she turns back, and I'm like, no, I need more. I need more. I need more than that. But I had to explain to her is that I never want to get so comfortable in the peace and love in our marriage that I take her for granted. I always want to be intentional about my love and intentional about checking in with her and seeing, hey, where are we? I'm not this perfect dude running around where I'll never get on your nerves and all that kind of stuff. And she laughs and she humors me with a lot of that stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool. It sounds like you and Jason are in a really mature, grown up place in your marriage. Now, how did you guys, what was the actual healthy, what was, how did y'all get engaged? What was the wedding, all that stuff? Let me get that.
So we got engaged 11 months after we started dating. But I was already planning the wedding like way before that.
Oh, relax.
I already knew.
Relax.
I already knew. We both knew.
Why you measure my waist already? Why you measure my waist in my inseam? Why? Had that brother a suit already.
Right. But it was nice because he knew what was important to me. You need to ask my dad and my mom permission and get their blessing and before proposing. And I want, all of my friends and family to be there at that moment. I want to share that moment with them. And so he set it up in Killeen at my parents' house. He surprised me. So I thought we were going to go and have a weekend with his friend and his friend's girlfriend. And I wasn't dressed. I'm like in tennis shoes. I'm still mad at this day. Like, you should have said something so I can dress up and look cute.
Right. Yep.
And so we had plans, but then my friends started showing up at my mom's house, and I didn't even catch on to it.
Right. Because y'all do hang out and have a lot of get-togethers, so.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess everybody's just coming over here. We're just going to hang out over here tonight.
Right.
And, like, all his friends started showing up, and I didn't think nothing of it. I'm just having a good time, chilling. And one of his friends, I guess, was super late. I understand why now he waited so long to do it, but he was waiting on his last friend to get there. But yeah, he proposed to me in front of everyone, and I don't know. It's so funny how emotional I am watching other people get married. I'll cry on commercials and TV. I don't even cry at my wedding or nothing. It's so weird to me. But we went through the whole process together. He was very telling me, I was asking him for his opinions on everything, and he was down for it, giving me his input. Right. But I knew I wanted a nice nice wedding. But then I found out how much all that stuff costs. And I was like, okay, this is not important.
House of grip.
Like, put that back. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's, I realized it's not about all that extra stuff. It's about, me and him becoming one. And it's so funny how the day of, everybody kept asking me, like, are you okay? Why are you so calm? And, oh my God, you're so just chill and peaceful. And I'm like, why wouldn't I be? Like, I'm about to marry the man of my dreams. Like, I'm good. Like, well, I guess they were expecting me to be nervous, crazy, bridezilla or whatever. But no, I was like, no, this is a day that, I've been waiting on. We good.
Right. Now, let me ask you this. What is your thoughts on, I know a lot of Angelica, you guys, we'll probably have to get into that another interview, but this chick is out on her activism vibe and women's empowerment. I see all this stuff you got going on. So as this is a male driven show, but what are your thoughts in this modern day era on, let's say, Jason's role in the relationship and your roles? Do you believe in male and female gender roles, or is it kind of fluid for you, or how do you guys do it?
I think we're more on the fluid side. I feel like we're not big on roles. We're bigger on just teamwork.
Okay.
So whoever's better at something, you're going to take over that. And we're here to support the other person in any way. So like I shared with you earlier, like he doesn't mind doing the grocery shopping. Like when I met, I was like, I hate grocery shopping. He's like, oh, I don't mind. I'll do it. Just like that. Just, whatever is better for that person is what we do. I'm just better at cooking and cleaning, so that's just what I do.
Okay.
But like laundry, he's like a little OCD with that. I feel like he wants to wash clothes every week. Me, I would wash clothes every month, and he wasn't down with that. So he was like, you know what? I'll just do the laundry then. So we just do what fits for us. I mean, there's no like you got the dishes or I got it. If I cook you. It's whoever's there does the dishes. I mean, it's just there's no like pressure on like fulfilling these roles. If you do what's best, it's a team effort.
Okay. So. Yeah, we're very similar. We share tasks and things around the house. Now, would you, if somebody asks you, is Jason the head of the household? Is that an issue for you or no?
No, absolutely he is. It's God, the husband, and then the wife. And it's a reason for that, and I believe in it. And that's not to say the woman is inferior. I don't know, non-Christians just like to do the most with that. And make submitting like such a negative thing. But no, he absolutely is the head of the household. And he knows it. Not that saying that, it's something that even needs to be brought up, but I would never make him feel like he wasn't.
Yeah, and I think it's key, we have the same dynamic in our household. And I think a lot of times what happens is when you're in a relationship where you don't trust the man, then it becomes an issue to say he's the head of the household because I don't trust him to make the right decision or do right by me. But in a relationship that is built on trust, that Jason isn't doing anything malicious towards you, or again, he's not running around the house. I'm the man, I'm the
exactly.
I think one thing that gets lost a lot of time, the amount of strength that it takes to be willing to submit. In any aspect of life.
Right. Me and Skeens always had this conversation, and another big brother of mine is that submission, while it's often talked about with the woman submitting, the relationship as a whole is submission.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You're submitting yourselves to one another.
So it's always talked about as a detriment.
Right.
But it should be applauded.
It should be applauded. And submission, it takes strength to submit, because in order for me to submit, I have to quiet myself. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times we want our self wants to be loud, but it's like, shh, it ain't just about you. Shh, be quiet, Jay.
Yep.
Shh, be quiet, Angelica. You don't need to say that right now. Shh.
Yep.
Shh.
Yep.
And that's the hard part.
You know, it is. That's the only thing that I really had to work on in this marriage. Like, I'm an alpha female. My mom is an alpha female.
Right.
Aunts. I mean, the women in our family were like, you know, we're very independent, strong women, and that's what I've seen growing up, and that's who I am. So yeah, it took. I'm glad that I needed to go to church and to study the Bible more and learn more, or else this marriage may not have been off to a good start without it. But I think a lot of people make just the wrong choices on the people that they are in a relationship with, because who you choose, it should be easy to submit and to just shut up sometimes, you know?
You know, one of my things, and I'm sure if Jason was on, he would echo, is that one of the things I know I put money on is that your home is a peaceful place. And for men, having peace with your spouse, I mean, it's like, again, an Energizer battery is in your back, is because you go through so much throughout the day. And as a man, just trying to maintain and sustain, you know, both do, but just talking about from the male perspective, and as men, even as men of color, you go through another thing, you know, and to be able to come back to a place of peace, of refuge, you know, where there's not another fight because you don't want to fight at work and then keep your gloves on when you come home. You want to take your gloves off, get some water, get something to eat, so you can go out and fight tomorrow. You know what I mean? And I think, Angelica, the beautiful thing about what you're saying is that you got to think about, we're talking to this beautiful young lady on the phone that is a college graduate, is successful, is doing her thing, and she could be running around, I don't need no man. But what she's saying is, actually, I do need to be my best version of myself. I do need my husband. And Jason is saying on the other side, to be the best version of me, I do need Angelica. I need my wife. So when we select the right people, like you're saying, Angelica, that part is easy. And oftentimes, because, and me and Skeens are always talking about this, because we have these other things, and we came up with a word last show, realophobia. You know, there's a phobia of the real. There's a phobia of having real relationship. We want these, again, we're in this social media age. Everything is fake. Everything is filtered. We portray that. Some folks, you like, man, them cats always on a vacation. You know what I'm saying? Like, God, dog, everything is cool. They vacationing. Right. Everything looks perfect all the time, but we know it couldn't be further from the truth. And
that's something funny you said. You were like they still posting pictures, and they go through it right now. Like, I just somebody you were mentioning,
Angelica. I have like so many people that are like that.
I'm not posting no picture. If I'm mad at him.
So it's a beautiful thing that you and Jason have built, man. You know, I just take my hat off to you guys and salute you. Thank you. This has been a beautiful. Thank you. I mean, this has been a beautiful conversation. I would like for us to, you know, I may sometimes just try to catch you on a random, you know, and have some dialogue with you. Now, before we close out, is there anything you need to promote? Any last parting words that you got? And what I wanted to, we're about an hour and 9 in, so I don't want to make it too long, but I told you I really, guys, I usually don't really prep people for what I'm gonna. But Angelica was asking me kind of what's gonna happen. You know, I'm very open. But now, one thing that I thought about, and I told you I'm gonna get some flack for this, but I had an unpopular opinion about some of the things that happened in the Breonna Taylor case. Okay,
yeah,
they did have the $12 million that the family was just paid. I don't know if they got paid, but I know that they won a settlement for $12 million. And let me know your honest opinion. When the Breonna Taylor case, the situation happened, one of the first people I thought about was you. Okay? And the reason being is a part of it, if you look at the case, is that Breonna Taylor was under some form of investigation because of her associations, right?
Yeah.
And that's unfortunately, that's a part in some parts of the BLM and certain things we don't deal with and be honest with in our, because a part of me and Mario, Skeens are some of the most pro-black people, but we also want to hold our people accountable when necessary. You know what I mean? And a part of what happened is no different than you probably tell your nephews. I've told the countless young men and women that I deal with. Skeens has told people is watch the company you keep and watch the people you are around. You know what I mean? Yes. And while it didn't turn out the same way as unfortunately it did, and people are gonna. So you saying she should have done? No, definitely not. There was things and elements in there that happened. But one thing, as you said, you were in wrong place, wrong time. And you got $180,000 bail and you got all this other stuff going on. So a part of it that I want to hold our community accountable is that, again, men, women, because it's all relationships, whether it's romantic or not. It's a relationship. I have a relationship with you. Right. I have a relationship with my friends and family and people that I consider family. That's a relationship. And whatever relationship that it is my overall thought. Whenever that you find that there's toxicity and things that are unhealthy about that relationship, like you said, I got to get out of it.
I mean, because technically, you could have been Breonna Taylor just based off relationship. Right. When they kicked in the door.
Absolutely.
If they would have came in with that and brought that interject that same energy, you could have been Breonna Taylor.
Right. And that's why Angelica off top, one of the first things, and again, like I said, I use examples, and I'm like, I know a young lady that was in a similar situation. It didn't go the way with gunfire and stuff like that, but just one bad decision to the left or the right, we could have been talking about an Angelica. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's just, I want to always talk with our people and be honest about things that we got to do to make better decisions.
Exactly.
Better decisions.
Just because you're not directly involved doesn't mean that you're independent of it. Because if you're messing with someone who's involved in that, and you know what they're involved in, I mean, come on. Yep. And you choose to still stick with that, I mean, that's the consequences that you could face. Right. I hate that. Not saying that, but like, you know, the police investigating you or anything like that. So
yeah, because what I did is I actually went back and they released elements of, you know, the investigative report, and I stayed up one night till 3 or 4 in the morning, literally reading. It was almost like 50 pages. And it was surveillance video, it's photos, it's phone calls. Yep. You know,
okay, so you saw how they got the warrant in the first place.
Right. Yeah. I saw all of that. You know, her there was a rental car that was connected to a murder. That was a rental car was rented under her name. There's drug traffic at the house, possible drug money that she's holding at the house. All of these things. So I just want people to understand that we can't make decisions like that and then not expect possible adverse things that may occur. You know what I mean? Now, again, are there other things that, you know, was there a knock? Was there no knock? Did they execute it? Did they let them know? I get it, all of those things, and we never want anybody to lose their life. I don't want anybody to think that's what I'm saying, but I want us to be better about the decisions we're making, and be intentional about the relationships that we're making. And that's what you were talking about. Right. People end up in romantic relationships, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing that we're talking about. You end up in these romantic relationships that you shouldn't even be in. You should never, ever be in that relationship if you're making quality choices. So,
exactly.
All that said, we want to close out, but give us something parting, something for the ladies or something for the couples, whatever you got for us so we could close out.
Well, like I said, for the ladies, I mean, make better decisions. Yep. Anything that happens to us is a consequence of our decisions. We like to blame not enough good men out there, or why we can't find the person that, God has for us. A lot of the times we gotta look at ourselves and look at the decisions that we're making, the guys that we're choosing, the things that we're choosing to put up with. So I'm sorry, I don't feel sorry for people continually making bad decisions. So make good decisions.
All right.
And for couples, just keep God first. And I just can't see anything that you can't get through if you have God in your life. And that's the best blessing that I could get from this marriage, is having that relationship back with God. Absolutely. So Lord knows I need him.
Well, we appreciate you. We would love to have you back on again, and we'll discuss some things, and maybe some things you got going on and things you want to promote, stuff like that.
Yeah,
I see you moving out and doing a whole bunch. I see you doing a lot, but from the bottom of my heart and from Skeens, I appreciate you. I really do. Angelica, again, I love you, sis. I really do.
Thank you.
I love what you and Jason are doing. And the funny thing, y'all, this, as much as Angelica and I have talked right now, it's not like we talk often, but I send her a message or a little comment, and we're just always encouraging each other, building each other up. So I love seeing what you're doing. I love your family. They're that family that's always taking the pictures and doing the cool stuff during the holidays and Christmas and all that kind of stuff, man. So much love to you guys. And until next time, guys, this is your boy Jay Carter, Skeens. Another episode of How Did We Get Here? We'll holler at y'all next time.